Hey guys, so what is this? This is March 8th or March 9th. I'm not quite sure. It's such a beautiful day. I can't keep things like the date in my brain. It's beautiful today. It's been like 80 degrees, absolutely awesome. Like this is the second day of nice weather and it's so nice. Like I actually feel like I'm getting a sunburn now. I've been out here so much. So before going on the walk today, we're going to release a mouse. So the mouse traps have been working really well. So these are the Victor 10 cat mouse traps. So humane mouse traps, doesn't kill the mice, but works just incredibly, redonkulously well. Like at this point, we've probably caught at least 20 mice so far. And this is the funny thing that happens with these mice, is you sit there and you bring them out here and you let them, you're trying to get them to go. You're like, hey, would you go somewhere, please? Come on, come on. And then instead, they just want to sit in here. And again, I would argue this is just such a beautiful example about how the world works. The little mouse sitting in there with his peanut butter and poop, refusing to leave the trap. Like the trap is completely open. There's food and everything out here for him, but he refuses to go away. But, oh well. And that is how it goes. We will leave the mouse there. And hopefully it will leave. It is kind of funny though with these mice traps. Like a lot of them just run as soon as you open up the lid. The mice run off. But then probably like 25% of the mice like refuse. It's not even that they refuse to leave the trap. It's that they actually like dig themselves further into the trap, which is just kind of weird. And again, as I would say, I would just have you guys think about that a little bit. Think about that little mouse. The door of the trap has been opened, and yet not only does he not leave, but he actually tries to like secure himself into the trap even more. If that is not the modern world in a nutshell, I don't know what is. Oh, but it is so amazing out here, so amazing. Like I say, Maryland in good weather is really great. Maryland in bad weather is really crappy, but today it's just been beautiful today. It's been beautiful. Yeah, let's go down, let's look at a couple of fishies so you guys get to see all the natural stuff here. I was feeding the fish a little while ago. Maybe one of these times I'll actually show you guys like feeding the fish, because there's about 20 of them in there. I was very happy. I was telling you guys the other day how we bought like 50 goldfish like a long time ago and they all got eaten. Well, I'm happy to say apparently not all of them got eaten. We have like 2 of the biggest frickin' goldfish in there, because you can tell the difference. Like koi are like longer fish, they're like longer, thinner fish, and then goldfish are like wider, fatter fish. And there's actually 2, like when I was out there feeding, there were 2 huge, beautiful goldfish that I swear, I did not know they were in there. I thought they had gotten eaten years ago. Because when I did the whole goldfish experiment, so when we got here, and we found we had the pond and all that, and I was stocking it. So we've been here 5 years now, like literally 5 years now. So I probably stocked it with those 50 goldfish, like back that first year. Like that first year is when I put in all those goldfish. And basically I thought they were all like completely eaten, like way back then. So it is curious to see that at least two of them have survived. So that is a good thing. So we have goldfish. Hold on one second. I have to put you down. I have to prop you there so I can tie my shoes. I was in such a hurry to get out of the house. For whatever reason, I forgot to tie my shoes. Oh, it's just how my brain's going today. It's been a tiring day. So as far as the geek diet is concerned, we are in the 201 range for today, which I still think is good, So we got down to the 200 range yesterday, which is the best that I've been. And so today I went up a little bit, but I'm in the 201 range. So again, even going up, it's not so bad because it's still pretty low. So it's good doing the 201. Then going and doing the exercise this morning. This morning it was a little harder because my wife wasn't feeling so well. So this was the first morning that I myself, me by my lonesome, went to the gym. And I do have to say something. As far as things like battle buddies and all that go, find yourself a battle buddy, because like it really was amazing. because she's been going with me, it's been it's been a pain to get out of the house, but like I've always known I was gonna get out of the house basically. And now, like this morning, since she wasn't going, it was like one of the first mornings where, not because I was sore, not because I was tired, just because I didn't wanna, that I almost didn't leave the house. So it does go to show you, like having a training partner or whatever can be a very useful thing. I noticed that with Kempo. I had a training partner for a couple of years, and we just beat the crap out of each other. It was really good. It was very motivating. You know, got us both going in. And then he had to drop out just because of business and all that kind of stuff. And then like after he dropped out, Kempo was never quite the same thing again, because it's just like that. Because you get to that point where, you know, like good enough. Like I feel like with Kempo, I say I was a smidgen off of a black belt. Basically, I just never tested for the black belt. But that was the thing, is there was like nobody. I didn't care. It's like, I really personally don't care if I have a black belt. All I care is if I'm effective, if I'm efficient, right? That's all I care about. And so like when he stopped going, it's like, you know, I know enough. I'm feeling pretty good. And so that kind of went by the wayside. You find that with training partners. The other thing today was also curious, I noticed, was, when I went to the gym, I also didn't work as hard. I still worked. I still did my normal routine. I've done like 8 or 9 times now. But I could really tell, like there was something about it, like I got done with it. And I was like, I don't know what that is. But I honestly do not feel like I worked as hard as I normally do. Like, I don't know, maybe just having the wife, like, with an eagle-eye view somewhere in the gym looking at you makes you feel more motivated or something. I don't know. But it was curious. So definitely, if you want to get in shape, I think one of the big things is find yourself a training partner. Really, I don't know what it is. It's one of those things that does good. Oh, I'm a little tired today too, because I've been working. So I did my exercise thing this morning, and I did a Skype meeting. Then I did a video class and some other work. And then, since it's a nice, beautiful day, I decided to do some housework that I've been meaning to do for a while. So we did a dump run. Oh my golly, that sucked. So having a nice big truck is good, because it's pretty easy to do dump runs. And so I've been doing work on the house for a bit now, since we got back. And one of the things that I had to tear out is on the back wall in the basement, we actually had the old cattle feeder trough thingies. So my house is a 150-year-old barn, basically. It's a renovated barn. So one of the interesting things down in the basement is a guy who had redone it, left the cattle troughs and the whole feeding apparatus down there. The problem is it was on the back wall where there's a lot of water leakage. And so it was literally on the wall. So the problem was, having that there meant it was almost impossible to fix the wall. So it all had to come out. And so we got back in like November or whatever, December. I cut all of it out, and then I put it on the backyard, you know, prepared to take it to the dump. And then of course it got cold and nasty and all that kind of stuff. So it's basically sat there for 2.5 months. So today decided, okay, it's a nice beautiful day. Let me just throw this wood in the back of my truck and take it off to the dump. Well, here's the only problem. Is having a pickup truck is that you can't really stack things really high like I used to when I have a minivan. You have to kind of have a concern how you pack it. And the problem is when I cut out all this trough material, I left everything kind of nailed together. So like literally I just cut chunks of the trough out and then dragged it outside. The problem then is when I went to put that in the truck, it just took up a lot of room, right? Because it's not like all the wood was stacked in there. It was just these big chunks. So I looked at it and went, crap. If I leave the wood how it is, all assembled and just cut up, it's gonna take like 2 or 3 loads to get this to the dump. So the only way to do this in one load is to sit there and sledgehammer apart all this stuff. So after my day of, after my morning of doing muscle, weightlifting and all that, I then spent like 45 minutes with a sledgehammer beating the hell out of this wood. And really, like, this wood was put together, you know, back old days, 100-year-old days, like just the biggest freaking nails, like 3 nails per like connection. So like if you have a bar on the top and a bar on the bottom, and then you have the slat, each side of the slat has these 3 really nasty nails going through it. And so, you know, there's like 50 or 60 of these slats that I had to bang off. So I did that. I was just pouring down sweat. I was like, ah, right? And finally took that to the dump. Then when I got to the dump, I almost had a meltdown at the dump. I almost had a man meltdown at the dump, because I get to the dump. And so one of the things I just bought for the truck, for our little adventuring stuff, is a kayak rack system. So it's a Thule kayak rack system. Very nice, actually. So I just got that because we have the kayaks and we have other boats. And so it's like, okay, we got our monster battle wagon truck. Let's make sure we can strap the boats on and all that. So I just got that, and like last week, I finally got the damn thing on the truck. And that's like assembling IKEA furniture, I swear to you. That took like 2 hours to get that thing on the truck. But anyways, I finally got it in the truck, and so I put all the wood in the truck, and that's on it, and yeah. So I go, I drive. It takes me like half an hour to get to the dump. You know, that's how it goes. Then I get there, and the guy looks at the back and goes, huh, you got ladder racks, right? Because in order to dump, at least in Maryland, you have to show your ID to show you're in the county that the dump is. Because your county taxes pay for the dump. So like I can't just go to Baltimore City dump. If I did that, I'd have to pay. So I go to the Baltimore County dump, and so the Baltimore County guy's sitting there going, oh, you got a ladder rack on your truck. I'm like, no, I've got a kayak rack. He's like, oh, you got a kayak rack. Well, we can't let you through with a ladder rack. I'm like, no, don't you understand? It's a kayak rack, it's not a ladder rack. Look, I'm a computer guy. I'm not a professional carpenter or whatever. It's a kayak rack. Well, can't let you through with a kayak rack. I'll let you through with a kayak rack. And then everybody in the world's gonna have a kayak rack on their truck. And I'm just looking at him like, oh my God, what the fuck? And so thankfully he was like, so what I need you to do is I need you to pull out. I need you to take the back kayak rack off, and then you can come back and dump. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, are you serious? So I literally had to pull out of the lane. I had to go over. I had to spend 5 minutes beating off the backside of the kayak rack so I could pull it off the truck bed. Then put it into the truck. Then had to go all the way around the block to get back into the dump. And then he's like, oh, good. Can't have people here with kayak racks. Oh, motherfucker, right? Welcome to bureaucracy. You just sit there and you're like, what the hell? But again, what are you gonna do? And this is what I tell you guys about like the real world, because I don't feel like young people anymore like actually do a lot of stuff in the real world. It feels like they go to work and they come home and they don't do a lot of other things. But it's just like, you know, when you're doing stuff like renovating your house or doing these kind of things, these are kind of issues that you run into. And like for me, you know, going to the dump, I can sit there and I can argue with the person, and I can scream with the person, and I can bitch and I can whine or I can moan. Or I can simply take the back of my kayak rack off and just get the crap dumped so I can go and do better things with my life, right? And at the end of the day, that's really how it goes. You know, it's really like, this is what I try to tell people with the whole pragmatism thing. So you sit there and you're looking at the person and you're like, how the hell can we work this out? How can we just make this happen? Sometimes you gotta pull the back, that kayak rack off. So anyways, I did a nice dump thing. Came back, did a little mortaring on my basement. So many bags of mortar have gone on my basement wall. So I put another bag of mortar. And so now I'm off walking. So if I seem a little tired today, that's why. I've had a very energetic day. I've done a lot of exercise today. Oh well, and tomorrow morning I'll get up and I'll do my nice hour of spinning. I do have to say I'm looking forward to spinning nowadays. Spinning is one of those, it's a really weird exercise. Like when you look at spinning for the first time, it really looks like doofusy as hell. But like I say, once you can get into the whole spinning routine, actually, it's a nice exercise to do. Like I really do. I want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to my spinning at 5:30. I know that may sound dorky as hell, but it is true. So if you've not tried spinning before, really think about spinning. So anyways, for the topic of today, the main topic of today I want to talk about is friendly sabotage. and your friends and your loved ones sabotaging you. And just something to think about, and how you are going to deal with it going into the future. Because one of the things, like, you don't expect in life, you expect a lot of problems in life, right? If you're gonna go out there and gonna do almost anything, you expect problems. You expect it to cost money. Where am I gonna get the money from? You expect it to take time. How am I gonna have enough time to do this, right? You expect to run into enemies and people that wanna see harm come to you. How am I going to get past these people? But one of the things that's really easy to overlook is the sabotage you can run into by the people that supposedly care about you. And not actually supposedly care about you, by the people that actually care about you. And you know, it's kind of funny, if I was smart, I would like break this thorn thing. Like every time I walk across, I always have to move this thorn thing. And yeah, I just kind of leave it there. I just kind of move it and keep walking by. It's probably not a kind thing. I probably just do need to break it at some point. But anyways, if I broke it, then what would I have to complain about? But anyways, okay, so just sabotage by friendly people or whatever. So, you know, you're thinking about all these problems that you're gonna run into, all these obstacles you're gonna overcome. And then the one thing that you don't really think about that can completely blindside you and can completely screw you up is when your friends and your family members and your loved ones sabotage you. And so why I was thinking about this is kind of funny. Again, doing the whole workout routine, doing the whole exercise routine. I was on the internet last night doing some more Google searching on toning up. Because it really is curious. I was talking about toning up yesterday. I was really kind of curious. So I was reading more about toning up and going to all these bodybuilding websites and all that. And they were talking about things that can help you and things that can hinder you. And somewhere in all that mess, I ran into this, one of the problems that a lot of people have is that a lot of times your spouse will actually sabotage your exercise routine. And it was kind of funny to laugh at because I was reading about it. And it was talking about how a lot of times the biggest problem for somebody's exercise routine and getting in shape is actually, in fact, their spouse. And their spouse ends up doing a hell of a lot of damage for people's exercise routines for a lot of different reasons. And it was curious to read. And so, like, one of the things they were talking about, like when you're gonna go and you're gonna do one of your exercise programs, so you're gonna go out there, you're gonna lose weight, you're gonna get in shape, right? Well, one of the big things that's important for a lot of people, again, most people, they're not really worried about solving their problems. They're worried about coming up with a good excuse for the problems they have, right? They don't really want to solve their issues. They just want a decent excuse. So if you are in a relationship and you're overweight and your spouse is overweight, right? When you're both overweight, it's very easy to say, well, it's not really my fault. Look at Bob or look at Jill. I'm overweight, they're overweight. It's the food industry's fault. It's the TV industry's fault. It's Obama's fault. I don't know why it's Obama's fault that I'm 100 pounds overweight, but obviously, if I'm overweight and my wife is overweight, obviously it's Obama's fault, right? It's everybody else's fault other than my own. It's every other reason other than the bag of potato chips I had for a snack, right? Well, so what's really interesting, and we're talking about that with getting in shape and all that, is a lot of times your spouse will sabotage you because if you decide that you need to start getting healthy, and then you go out and you start losing weight and you start getting in shape, well, guess what? They just lost their good excuse, right? Because really, again, the important thing isn't solving the problem, it's having a good excuse. So if you're overweight and she's overweight or he's overweight, and then you start losing weight and they're still where they're at, well, they've completely lost their excuse. Because if you can do it, if you can start getting in shape, then that means whatever excuse that they're using really isn't a good excuse anymore. And then what are they going to be worried about? They're not worried about your health. They're not worried about their health. They're worried about, I need to get my excuse back. So one of the ways, like spouse or family members or whatever that will sabotage you, is then they'll start, don't you want an extra bag of potato chips? Yeah, I know you're saying that you should eat carrots in order to be healthy, but don't you miss potato chips? And so you'll see this thing where like family members and all that will start to do, like they'll know that you're doing the dieting thing and then be like, oh, well, on my way home from work, I just picked up this extra large meat lovers pizza. I mean, I know I know you're having a diet, so I'm not telling you to eat this extra large meat lovers pizza. But you know, I'm gonna have a few slices, and I'm just saying it's gonna be here, right? And so they start doing these things to sabotage you, to get you back to the status quo, so that they have their nice excuse. Right, again, something that really happens in the real world. Same thing is true, like they were talking about. The other thing is if your spouse is insecure about why you have a relationship, you know, again, thankfully my wife and I, we've been together like 10.5 years. Not much insecurity there. We're together because we're both nuts, right? But you have a lot of people, you know, there's that insecurity, like, and they start thinking, it's like, well, if I'm overweight and you're overweight, I feel pretty comfortable, right? Because like, if you're my spouse and I know you're fat and you know you're fat, then I'm kind of doing you a favor by being with you, right? Because, you know, who's gonna come in and steal a fatty? Like, you know you're a fatty, I know you're a fatty. You know, I don't really have to worry about some cute young thing coming in and stealing a fatty, right? It's just not gonna happen. So really, you should kind of feel grateful to me that I'm willing to have you, right? And this is so fucked up how people are. But again, it's how people are, and I talk to you guys about how people are, not how they think they are, right? But here's a problem. So you have a spouse, and the spouse kind of gets lured over the other spouse, that really that other spouse, you know, should be grateful because I'm willing to be with you. Well, here's the thing. So the spouse is like looking at it, been listening to my videos, been going, yeah, you know what? Carrying around a 50-pound a rucksack seems like a stupid idea. So if I'm 50 pounds overweight, that's essentially the exact same thing. So yeah, maybe I should lose weight. So the person decides, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym. I like what Eli's doing, so I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna start eating healthier. I'm gonna start slimming down. Well, here's the thing. You can actually start slimming down and start looking a lot better pretty quickly. So I've been doing this whole routine for right around 2 weeks now. And I can already feel it, like things are actually tightening up. Now don't get me wrong, it's not like I have a six-pack ab or anything yet, but you know, it's starting to feel like a nice solid keg. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it's still like one big thing, but it's kind of like that solid steel keg, right? You know, you start to feel it, and so you start to feel a little better, you start to feel a little healthier, you start walking, your back's a little straighter. And the problem is then their spouse starts looking at you, and all of a sudden, you're not quite such a fatty anymore. You know, I mean, again, now, yeah, you're overweight. But again, there's a difference between being overweight and even being obese and being a fatty, right? Being a fatty is kind of like a frame of mind. You know what I'm saying? Like I've noticed this in life. Like, I'll go out there, and I deal with a lot of different people. And there are people that are overweight. And then there are people that are fatties. And again, I'm not fatty bashing here, but follow me, right? And here's the thing. The people that are overweight, they carry their weight. You look at them, and they've got like an extra 50 pounds, but they stride into the room, right? They walk into the room, and they own the room, and darn it, they own that 50 pounds. You go, wow, looks like you're a little overweight. And they'll look at you, and be like, yeah, I'm overweight from the steak that I ate. Have I told you about that? I eat the best steak in the world, and I drink the best scotch in the world. And yeah, I may have a little weight on me, but damn it, I have weight on me because I own my weight, right? And again, right, so you see these people that are overweight, and I've even seen it with girls. I've seen some very sexy overweight girls in my time, obese girls in my time, because they carry it. I'm fucking proud of it. They strut what they got. And again, right, what a lot of people don't realize is it's not about all the physical stuff. Again, as far as confidence is, as far as owning the room, as far as being sexy, everybody has this idea that it's some kind of like physical thing. Like, I need to gain more muscle, or I need to lose weight, or I need to do this, or I need to do other. Like, if I was 250 pounds of solid muscle, then people would take me seriously. That's just not the case. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you look at people. It's how you talk to people. Do you look at people straight in the eye? Do you talk to them instead of talking to the floor? You do that, people will treat you differently. If you go in there and you're like, right, that's when it goes bad. And that's the problem with the difference between obese people and fatties Our obese people walk in, they own the room, they look you in the eyes, they own their circumstances. Yeah, they know they could lose a little weight, but hell, they got better shit to do, right? Yeah, you know what? I could eat fucking rabbit food, and I could exercise an hour a day, but you know, if I took the time and energy to do that, I couldn't do what's important for my life. So you know what? Screw it. If I die a couple years early, fuck it, I die a couple years early, right? And there's a difference between that and somebody who's fatty, who's very overweight, but is kind of looking at the floor. It's kind of like, well, yeah, you know, I probably should eat a little better, right? I probably should eat a little better. You know, I used to exercise a little bit. I used to be in good shape, but you know, I don't really do that anymore, right? You kind of look at the floor, and you just carry just that depression. You carry just that you want to being submissive or whatever else. And that's the difference between obese, overweight, or fatty, right? It's a personality. It's your presence. And so the thing is, right? So you decide you're a little tired of being a fatty, right? You decide you're tired of being a fatty, and yeah, you may be obese, you might be overweight, you may be obese, but darn it, you're gonna take control of things. You're gonna go out there, you're gonna eat better, you're gonna get exercise. Again, you don't know. Are you gonna lose 100 pounds? Who knows? But you're gonna lose some weight because you're now gonna be in control of your life. So your back's a little straighter, you tone up a little more, you start talking a little more forcefully, and then all of a sudden your spouse gets scared shitless because now you're actually somebody that other people would be attracted to, right? Because you're walking around, you're looking pretty good, you're looking pretty healthy. There's a little bit of spring in your step. I mean, you know, there's some spring in your step. It's kind of like shock absorbers. I mean, still got some weight on there, but there's a little bit of spring in their step, right? And now the problem is a spouse looks at it, and now no longer is it that they feel that you should be grateful that they are around, but now they're concerned because some young thing might come in and actually try to steal you. You're now actually attractive, right? And so, again, how can we deal with this? If we were all rational, sane human beings, basically, you know, the spouses would sit down and you'd have a heart-to-heart discussion and you'd make sure where everybody stood, right? That's how sane people would deal with it. But again, as I say, I have run into very few sane people. In my entire lifetime, I've probably run into five. And I'm probably being optimistic when I say 5. Right? That's how sane people would deal with it. But how humanity would deal with it is, again, people start getting all defensive. They start getting worried. So, again, you can sit here, and if your spouse is getting in shape, if your spouse is looking better, what can you do? You could get in shape. You could get better. You could try to feel more confident. Or you could basically kick your spouse in the shins, which is what most people do. And so that's the thing. You go to the gym, you're feeling better, you're feeling healthier, you're feeling good, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, you know, I prefer if you didn't go to the gym today. Well, why shouldn't I go to the gym today? Well, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm feeling tired today, and when you to go to the gym, I mean, I kind of need your help around the house. Like, what? When are we doing chores around the house? Well, there's all these things we need to do. So really, you probably shouldn't go to the gym today. You're like, oh, okay. And then you go, and it's like, you know, one spouse, division of labor, however it gets divided. You know, one spouse is the one that always does the laundry. And then you go, and let's say it's the other spouse that does the laundry, so you go, you get your workout, your workout clothes, and all of a sudden, you pick them up, and you're like, what happened to my workout clothes? Oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I dried all of your workout clothes on high heat. You know, let's say they're these poly blends or whatever, and so they're all kind of like melted or whatever. And you're like, oh, what the hell? And then, you know, you go through the day, and then you don't exercise that day, and that night, person comes in, oh, well, you know, I was at the store today, and you know, they have your favorite ice cream, and it was 2 for 1. Now, I know you're dieting and everything, but I just want to do something kind of nice for you. And really, I mean, you can have ice cream, right? And you kind of just go into this downhill slide where the best of intentions, and it doesn't work out so well for you, right? Because basically there's this huge pushed by the other side to get you to go and to basically to keep you from doing what you mean to do. Now, one of the things I also ran into in my life, one of my personal examples, is a problem of when I stopped trying to drink so much beer way back when. So now I don't drink any beer at all, really. But that's all just physiological stuff. Screws with my sleep patterns at night. Again, I am not a teetotaler. God bless beer. If I could drink beer, I would drink beer. But right now it just doesn't work for me. But back in the day when I was drinking and all that, that's one of the things I noticed is I go out with my friends and, you know, doing the business stuff and eating poorly, I noticed I was gaining weight. Right? And so you look at it, you know, what's the major caloric thing that you drink? And if you're going out a couple of nights a week, a few nights a week, many nights a week, you know, it's probably beer. You know, every pint of beer is essentially like 200 calories. You know, you spend a good time at the bar, you put 4 or 5 of those back, that's 1,000 fucking calories. That's 1,000 just calories. There ain't no vitamins. I'm sure there's vitamins there, but you know, there's not much to it. There's just calories, right? And so what was really interesting was I had friends at the time back when I was younger, and you know, we would go out to drink, and that's how we had fun. And then I looked at my waistline, and I was like, oh, I'm gaining too much weight. You know, it's coming from beer, so I'm just gonna back off the whole beer thing. And then the problem was, like I say, with friends, is that they were just lonely, so they wanted to go out. The place we could go out is to the bar, and so again, it'd be that constant, you know, twisting the arm, like, no, I don't really want to go to the bar tonight. Trying to get a little healthier. Oh, just come out for one beer. Just come out for one beer. And you're like, okay, Christ. Okay, fine, I'll come out for one beer. And then, you know, you drink your beer, and then the bartender comes around, and then your friend's like, next round's on me. And then you're like, fuck. Well, I can't say no to a round, right? You know, somebody else is buying me a beer. I can't say no to that. And then you have 2 beers. And again, you know, let's be honest here. Alcohol is one of those things where, you know, you have 1 beer and you're feeling pretty good and whatever. You can go home. But you have 2 beers, and then you start getting in that conversation. You're feeling really good. And you're in that good bar that you like, and everybody's around you. And you know, well, yeah, fuck, you're just gonna have 3 at that point. And then 3. Well, again, you start talking to somebody else that gets into the argument that you guys are having, and then it comes to be 4, and then, you know what I'm saying? And so you started the night literally not wanting to drink at all, like literally saying, I do not want to drink. Got to go get you out for 1 beer, which turned into 2, which turned into 3, which turned into 4. And the problem is, again, depending on who you're hanging out with, you know, if that happens 1 night a week, that's probably something a spinning class can deal with. But you know, if that happens 1 night a week, or 2 nights a week, or 3 nights a week, or 4 nights a week, it can be really, really difficult. And you can sit there and be like, well, you know, hey, why don't we do something else? I just want to go to the bar. And you kind of get pulled into it, right? And so these are some of the things that you have to be thinking about with the sabotage for the people that you care for. And that's, I think, one of the hardest things that I found with like being successful and doing all the weird ass crap that I've done in my life, is the fact of the matter is a lot of times you basically just have to tell the people that you care about to go screw themselves. And again, I know, like, this is why I get so annoyed with people when they say, oh, Eli, you're arrogant or you're egotistical, and why I shoot back, that I say, I have done my fucking bucket list, right? when I wake up in the morning, there ain't nothing on my bucket list that I feel that worried about, right? Going out there and doing things, the problem is every time you're going to go out there to do almost anything, the people that supposedly care about you many times are the ones that are going to sabotage you the most. You know, oh, that's dangerous. Oh, I don't want you to do that. Oh, if you do that, what means you blah, 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 blah. And so one of the things that you have to learn is how to ignore that, how to put that behind you. And again, if it gets really bad, how to just stop dealing with people, right? I mean, that was a hard thing for me, like I say, when I stopped drinking so much, when I really stopped. Again, I stopped drinking beer really like in November or something back when I was in Seattle. But you know, when I stopped drinking so much I mean, it really did. It put a lot of damage on a lot of the friendships that I had, simply because, I mean, they wanted to go out and they wanted to do it. And I'm just like, that's not, again, I don't, you want to go see a movie, you want to go see a play or something, I'm up for that. But again, again, at that time, it wasn't anything against beer. It was against 200 calories per pint, right? And so that's one of the things that you have to think about. And one of the issues that you get into, so talking about this with like weight loss, one of the things I try to explain to you guys is all of these thought processes, all of these issues are basically just the same across the board. Whether you're dealing with technology problems or whether you're dealing with weight loss problems, they're the same. And so, like, one of the issues that you run into if you're going to be a successful technology professional is you run into the exact same thing. What happens if you're successful? What happens if you're successful and you start making a lot of money? What does that say about everybody else around you? Right, the story that I always tell, because it was such a perfect story. My buddy in DECA, back in Hagerstown years ago, in high school, kid was making $70,000 or whatever $1,000 per year, and I ran into him, and we were talking, because it was a DECA convention. DECA is an entrepreneurship club, and so I ran into him, and we were talking, and he just looked so depressed that day, and I was like, what's the issue? And he said, well, what do you do when you make twice as much money as your mom does? And he was 17 years old. And you're like, all right. And so that's one of the issues you run into. It's the same kind of thing with the weight loss issue, is if you go out there and you become successful, what do people think that means for them in relation to you, right? So if you're just some schmuck, you got your $12 an hour job, you got your nice girlfriend or whatever, boyfriend that likes you, right? They feel like, well, you should be happy that I'm with you, because really, you're not that great. Hey, you got some stuff going on, but it's not like you're whatever. And so you sit there and you're like, oh yeah, I should be happy that I'm with this person, because really I'm not that impressive or whatever. Yeah. Well, again, what happens if you go out and you figure out that web design, which is basically like creating a damn Word document, only you can do it for $250 an hour, right? So you go out there, and again, you think about it, you go out there and you start making $1,000 a day, you start making $2,000 a day, it's relatively easy to do, and then the problem becomes then your spouse or then the person you're with, what does that mean for them? Right, let's say you work in a retail store and your spouse is a forklift operator, right? And you're both at the same level. You're both at the exact same level. So you come home every night, you have the same complaints all employees of that level have, right? So basically you can communicate with one another, right? They're making $12, $13 an hour, you're making $11, $12 an hour, you're writing that same thing. Why can't we do any better? Why can't we buy a car? Why can't we buy a house? Why can't we go on a vacation? Well, look at us. The man is keeping us down. Right? So imagine then one of them watches my videos or watches somebody else's videos and then goes, this web design thing, that sounds pretty good. I think I could do web design. Sounds like there's a lot of money in there. So they go out and they start doing web design. And they do their first website for free. And they do their second website for $25. And they do another 5 or 6 websites for $50. And then somebody says, hell, I'll pay you $250 to do a website. And the next person says $500. And then all of a sudden, in like 6 or 7 months, you're pulling in $1,000 or more per website. Only takes you like a day and a half to do. You've got as much work as you can deal with. And now all of a sudden, right, you're making like $1,000 a day while your spouse is making $13. So what happens to their excuse about how the man is keeping y'all down? Man's keeping us down. And then you're like, well, man's keeping you down. man's keeping you down, but hey dear, I just made $1,000 yesterday. I'm not sure that, I know we've been talking about this man keeping us down for a while, but maybe that man don't exist. I'm just saying, maybe, right? And then you keep going, right? And so then that person, oh, right. And then, like I say, then you go out and let's say you get better, and so you need a graphic designer or whatever. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Well, you become the man, right? Because you now have a $13 an hour employee that's doing all the crap work. And then, your spouse comes home from driving a forklift all day, complaining about the boss, and you're like, your boss sounds a lot like me. And these complaints kind of sort of sound like what my employee would say about me. And it kind of pisses me off that my employee would say that kind of stupid crap about me. And so I'm kind of getting a little pissed at my spouse here, my significant other, right? And so this is one of the issues, and people know that. It's like, what happens? We're at the same level. What happens if you rise ahead? What happens if you get better? What happens if you become the man and I'm still that cog in the machine? And so what a lot of people do is that, like, they'll get in there and be like, well, you know, I don't want you to get your hopes up. I don't want you to get your hopes up. I want to protect you. I want to protect you. And I've seen this in the past with some people where like voicemails or messages will come in and then the spouse will simply delete them, right? So a client calls up and says, hey, I'm willing to hire you for build a website for $500 or $1,000. And then the message gets deleted. Spouse doesn't even know it came in. And then when they find out, it's like, well, I just don't trust that person. I just don't trust that person for you. I mean, you're just such an honest, good person, and that's a business person right there. That's a business. Yeah, they may say they're gonna pay you $1,000, but I know what these people are really gonna be like. So I was trying to protect you from that, right? You sit there like, what the hell is wrong with these people, right? Because if you get ahead, then again, like I say, what does that make them? If you both were making $12 an hour, and then a year later, you're making $1,000 a day, what does that say about them? And again, what is the most important thing for people? The most important thing for people in this world is not solving problems. It is ego. It is protecting the ego. If you understand that 99.999% of the population, all they care about is protecting the ego, you will understand why the world is so damn screwed up, right? And that's the thing, because if you get ahead, what does that mean for them? And again, the same thing too, is they get worried. You know, well, what happens if you're making money? Or why are you gonna stay with me? It's the same thing. It's the equivalent of you're getting in shape and looking better. Well, you know, if you're making all this money, why would you stay with me? And you look at them and go, because I love you, dumbass. And they're like, yeah, I know you say that, but you know, really. It's like, because I love you, dumbass. Yeah. And you're like, okay, I don't really know what to say to this anymore, right? It's like, right? But that's the thing, is that's the kind of stuff that people are worried about. Same thing is true, like I say, with friends and family and all that kind of stuff. Especially family and friends can be really brutal. You know, here in the United States, First Amendment, we have free speech. But I tell you, there is one sentence that I would ban outright. I would make it a class 1 federal offense. I think it should be a capital offense. You think you should be like strung up, hanged, shot, and drawn and quartered for saying it. But you hear it a lot. And the worst part, like around here in the Baltimore area, you hear it a lot in communities where they need to stop saying it. Because you're like, I wonder what the problem of this community is. Well, let's see. And the main thing that you hear so often in different accents with different verbiage is, so you think you're better than us. Right? So imagine this, right? Imagine this. Here's some poor African-American kid in the ghetto. You're actually smart. Surprise! You're a human being. You're a human being like everybody else. And so you're really smart. You're really smart. You're really good at whatever. So you get scholarships and all that, and you can go off to college. Thing is, you go off to college, you learn all this great stuff, become a computer scientist or whatever the hell you want to do, worth a lot of money, all that kind of thing. You're just doing your thing. You were a high school student, you went to college, you now have a job, you're now making $150,000 a year, you buy a nice car, you go back to see your family and all that kind of stuff, and then basically what are you told? Oh, I see, you think you're better than us, right? And you're like, what? No, I don't think I'm better than you. I mean, I think I got a better job than you, and I think I got a better car than you, and I think I got a better house than you, but that's not better than you, right? You know, I mean, you could say that about a lot of people. I mean, you know, somebody like Mother Teresa, that was supposedly a good person. Didn't live in the best circumstances, so it's not like I'm better than Mother Teresa. I just have a better car than Mother Teresa. But you get a lot of people, again, it's that ego thing. Oh, look at you. Look at what you've done. Oh, you think you're better than us. And so again, one of the problems that I see here in the Baltimore area, especially the city, is you have so many people, so many good, smart, talented people that do not get ahead, like literally refuse to get ahead because they don't want to be seen as being better than anybody else. Again, oh, Eli, yeah, you know, I could do all that, but, you know, hey, what would my parents think? Or, you know, what would my siblings, what would my siblings think, you know? What happens, you know, okay, I've got a nice condo or whatever, what about them? And you're like, oh my fucking Christ, right? And you get that so much, right? That whole thing of like, I don't want to outshine the people around me. And again, it's sabotage. And then, like I say, I mean, the big problem, like I say, you see a city like Baltimore, is if you have talented, intelligent people that could be successful, but they decide not to be, what the hell do you do? And again, like I say, when I get so pissy about Baltimore, I've had a lot of dealings with Baltimore on many levels. And that's the issue that I walk away from, is these people aren't stupid. A lot of people in Baltimore are not stupid. They are very capable people, but so much of it is self-defeating. Eli, I don't want to make anybody think that I think I'm more than I am, right? I don't want anybody to think that I'm arrogant. I don't want anybody to think that I'm egotistical. I'm like, fuck it, be arrogant, be egotistical. Because where the hell are your kids gonna be? Stop worrying about what the hell, your whiny ass, pathetic parents with egos this big. Start thinking about your kids. Are you gonna sacrifice your kids' lives because your parents were weak and pathetic? Well, I don't know. When you say it that seems a little harsh. That seems a little harsh. Yeah, it seems a little harsh because it's real. It's true. Are you going to sacrifice your offspring because the people that are currently around you happen to be really fucking pathetic? You know, that's just harsh. And I know it's harsh, because it's true. And I see this with so many people. Like, I was talking with a startup founder, right? And there's a guy, really good programmer, really stupid startup idea, but it was funny, because I was talking to him, and again, the particular startup that he was doing was stupid, but, you know, should figure it out. That's how startups work. Has reasonable expectation to figure it out. But one of the things, I was talking to him, and he was talking about how in his family and in his community, you can't talk about money, right? You're not allowed to talk about money. Because when you start talking about, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a billionaire, oh, so you think you're better than us. What? No, I just want $1 billion. I want to buy a jet. A jet, owning my own jet has nothing to do with whether or not I'm better than you. It's just a jet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you own a car, I want a jet, right? Oh, right? That whole idea. Oh, uppity. You know, you think you're better than us. You think that we are somehow inferior. And so what a lot of people do is they just keep their mouth shut, and then they don't get anywhere. Again, that's a problem. I say, talking to that person is, I mean, if you're going to be in the startup world, and again, you know how snarky and mean I can be about the startup world, but here's the deal with the startup world. Startup world is all about being a billionaire. That's it. I may think it's dumb, but again, that's how it is, right? If you were going to go into the startup world, it is all about how you're going to create $1 billion company. How are you going to create $1 billion company? That is all anybody gives two craps about. That's all they care about, right? How are you going to create $1 billion company? When you talk to angel investors, when you talk to venture capitalists, when you talk to all these people, all they care about is how are you going to create $1 billion company. Well, here's the problem. If all they care about is how you're going to create $1 billion company, but you refuse to talk about money because, well, I don't want anybody thinking that, you know, I'm all uppity or whatever else, well, then how's that going to work? It's not going to work. Nobody's going to give two craps about you because you're not willing to talk about the things that matter to them. And therefore, it all goes down the toilet, right? And so this is, like I said, and this is the big issue. And so then the question becomes, well, you're like, okay, well, now you just burst all my bubbles. What do you do? What do you do, though? You've got these people that you care about. You got family, you got friends, and all that kind of stuff. You know, if they're going to get their feelings hurt, you know, how do you deal with that? What can I do about their feelings? And again, one of the things you guys have to realize in life, again, if you're going to be successful and do anything worth a damn, is you got to stop worrying about their feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your spouse can't deal with what you're doing, if your spouse can't deal with you making yourself healthier, if your spouse can't handle you getting a better career and all that kind of stuff, then they don't need to be your spouse. Right? I mean, you need to sit down, and you need to have a conversation, you need to have a heart-to-heart, and you probably need an ultimatum or two. But here's the thing, if they can't get their mind around it, then they gotta go. they gotta go, right? Because do you want your life controlled by somebody simply because they have no ego? Are you going to be fat and unhealthy and poor and have your life suck because the person that you married happens to have like the confidence of a freaking minnow or something, right? So that's one of the things that you have to think about, is like when you're dealing with people like spouses and family and all that kind of thing, is to realize that the end solution, I suppose, is that maybe they need to stop being in your life. And I know that's really hard for some people to take. Oh, Eli. What you have to realize is most people are actually rather replaceable. I don't know, again, that's horrible to say, but it really is true. You know, there are nice, happy, wonderful people at all levels of the socioeconomic spectrum. You know what I'm saying? So like there's this idea, like if I lose my friends or whatever here, that I will never have friends again. And the reality is maybe you just need to kind of dump the friends you have so that you can go off and go to the nicer bars, the fancier pubs, and meet people there, right? Because again, I mean, what are you going to be happy with? And so this is one of those things you have to be thinking about. And actually, like I say, and pissing off people and making people angry and their feelings hurt. And then they have got to deal with it. I mean, one of the big issues that I see with a lot of people nowadays is there's this whole feeling of control. There's this whole feeling of control. Again, like in the startup world, everybody talks about changing the world. I'm going to change the world. And I always remember my Indian buddy that I used to actually go out and drink with, and he was laughing about that comment one time because he was talking about his family members or whatever, and he's like, "Why does everybody talk about changing the world when we can't even change our own family members?" Because he was having like some family issues, and it was really funny, like getting like knockout, drag out fights with his own family. And he's like, "Why do we all think we can like change the world when we can't even like change our own family?" And so one of the things that you have to think about is everybody puts this idea that you can make it better, that you can make it. Eli, I'm going to make this right. Eli, I'm going to make this better. But you can't. You can't feel an emotion for another person. Right? You know, if somebody is feeling angry, or if somebody is feeling insecure, or somebody's feeling scared, or any of these things, you can't feel that for them. That is their personal emotion. So you can try to do things to make them feel better. You know, if they're feeling insecure, you can buy flowers, you can do a romantic night, you can do a getaway somewhere. You can do things to try to put their mind at ease. But at the end of the day, it's for them to do it. Right? And again, like I say, with family members and all that kind of stuff, I mean, you can change how you talk, you can change the things that you discuss, you can change the car you drive to family get-togethers. You know what? If people gave you crap about driving a BMW to the family get-together, then you know what? If your second car is a Ford Festiva, just drive that to the family get-togethers from now on. Oh yeah, yuck, what happened to your BMW? I thought you were so cool with your BMW. Now you come here with your Ford Festiva. You're like, oh yeah, well, you know, those BMWs. Yeah, we just figured, you know, Ford Festiva is just a better deal all the way around. Yuck, of course. We knew you'd come around. You get a Ford. You get a Ford like normal people get Fords, right? And that's the thing, is so you can do things to try to put them at ease and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's their own emotion. It's their own insecurity. Again, a lot of things that get put on you, again, have nothing really to do with you. It has to do with the issues that they've gone through. You know, a lot of people don't realize that their parents are kids. It's really weird, like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, when I really realized my parents had been kids, and we're still kids in a way, right? And that's what you don't think about, is so like with insecurity issues and all that kind of stuff, like it's really easy to think about how, you know, worry about how your parents see you. Right? Oh, how does my, you know, I haven't lived up to my dad's expectations, or my mom was embarrassed of me, or whatever. You think of your parents as a superior. What you don't think of is that they are kids of their parents. Some of the stuff that you may be seeing, some of the reaction that you may be getting, is because they don't feel that they lived up to their parents' expectations, right? So think about that. If you have a kid, you know, person going through life, their parents are beating on them. Their parents, you know, it doesn't seem like they're living up to their parents' expectations. They then have kids, they then get a house, all that kind of stuff. You're a kid, you grow up, you get a good job, you're making a lot of money, you got a nice house, you got a nice car. Well, how do you think that makes them feel? If they feel that they didn't live up to their parents' expectations, and then you completely exceeded their expectations, what you would think of is that they would be happy. Hey, look, my kid is doing so good. What you're not thinking about is the internal psychology of when they look at it and they say, my parents were always disappointed in me, and this is proof that I am as pathetic as they thought I was. If my kid is so successful, then what does that say about me, right? And again, that's nothing you can deal. Like I said, the one thing you don't want to step in the middle of is parent-kid relationships. So, you know, you sure as hell don't want to step into the middle of the relationship between, you know, your parents and their parents and all that kind of stuff. And so that's just one of those things that you have to realize. Like a lot of times, it's not about your BMW, it's not about your clothes, it's not about, you know, a lot of these things. It's about their relationship to the world, you know? You know, if they see, you know, maybe they have a friend, if you're dealing with parents, you know, maybe they have a friend who is very successful, you know, went and bought stock in Microsoft at the right time. So this is somebody that they had hung out with all their life, all their son and their friend is a millionaire, and they're still where they're at, right? And well, that's not so bad, that's not so bad. Well, the person got lucky. Well, then you, as their kid, go out and you become successful and you make a lot of money, and now, it's not so much that that their friend or whatever, you're lucky, it's that they kind of suck, right? So this is one of those things that you just have to be thinking about when you're dealing with people, because it's a big deal. It's a big problem. I say a lot of people they see their friends, their family member sabotage them, and then they don't want to be sabotaged. They don't want to make anybody unhappy or disappointed or whatever, and so it keeps them from doing what they want to do. Does that make a damn bit of sense? Does that make a damn bit of sense? Did the spaghetti monster put me on this planet to worry about other people's emotions? Hell no. Spaghetti monster put me on this planet to do some really cool shit. So I'm here to do some really cool shit. And if people want to come along with me to do some cool crap, well, it depends on what I'm doing. Maybe you can come, maybe you can't. But again, like dealing with other people's emotions just isn't worth it. And I've seen, like I say, so much of this in the real world and business and technology and success, and it's so damaging. Again, especially with the lower classes in the United States, because again, I come on here and I talk about money, and again, there's a lot of things that I'm honest, I'm not transparent. So I try to be as honest as possible, but there is a lot of lack of transparency. Just to be clear for anybody who watches this, there's a lot of lack of transparency. But I do try to be transparent in the things that I think will be valuable to you guys. So again, like I said, talking about doing YouTube, you know, this is you know, well north of $100,000 a year for sitting and talking in front of a camera. This is real, right? And so again, that's one of those things you have to be thinking about is, you know, you go out there and you start doing something, you find something that you can be successful in, you start making money, and then are you going to self-destruct simply because you're worried about other people's emotions about it, right? This is something, you know, it is. I mean, one of the big issues in life, and that's the thing, is you see a lot of like disadvantaged folks, and they just say, oh, the man's against me, the world's against me, there's no way I'm gonna get ahead. And then, you know, I show you guys example after example of rather stupid businesses that make tons of money. And again, even now though, but you're like, oh, Eli, but you know, if you're African American and you're inner city, and you're ghetto or whatever, where are our opportunities? But the nice part is, in the modern world, especially with the internet, the internet is rather colorblind. Especially if you're not doing videos like me, right? So I've been talking to like grade A, under A, over email, or if you look at like CGP, Gray, or if you look at a lot of the other content creators out there, you actually have no idea what they look like. Like if grade A, under A, like walked by me in this park, I'd have no idea who the hell he was, right? Because it actually doesn't matter. It's just a voice, right? And so again, if you're thinking about doing web design, if you're gonna be building stuff, you know, doing telecommuting for that, if you're going to do content creation, if you're gonna do all these things, nobody even knows who you are. Nobody knows where you come from. All anybody knows is the content that you're putting out, if you're willing to go out there and actually do it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Anyways, oh, beautiful day. I love 80-degree days. So today was 80 degrees. Tomorrow should be 79 degrees, and then it'll be 60. It's kind of funny, like, not that long ago, like a couple of days ago, a 60-degree day would have seemed wonderful. And now I'm like, oh, 60 degrees? Sounds horrible. Horrible. Just shows you, it's all perspective, right? It's not really, and that's something too, think about it, like with numbers. It's not really the number itself. Like 60 degrees doesn't really actually mean anything. 60 degrees is not good, and 60 degrees is not bad. Here's the thing. If the weather has been 20 degrees for the past 2 weeks, and it warms up to 60 degrees, then 60 degrees is awesome. On the other hand, the weather has been 80 degrees for a couple of days, and it goes down to 60 degrees. 60 degrees is horrible, right? It really has nothing to do with the number 60 itself. The 60 degree is whatever it is. Again, it's not good or bad. It's a perspective you come to it from. It's one of those random things to talk about. Oh, I wonder how many of you guys are still watching to this point. I was looking at my statistics this morning. It was absolutely insane. I know I don't get a huge number of views on this channel. I get like 2,000 views per day. But what was ridiculous is the average view time, like yesterday, was like 17.5 minutes. It's just ridiculous. I have no idea why the hell you guys watch me so much. But again, as I say in life, you don't have to know why. You don't have to know why people do things. If they're willing to do it and you get paid because of it, take the money. Just take the fucking money. Again, that's one of the lessons I keep trying to tell people. So many people ignore it. They're like, well, Eli, I don't understand why I'm getting paid. It's like, who the hell cares? Just take the money. Again, have plan B, and have plan C, and have plan D. Again, like I say, I have plans. If YouTube blows up, I have alternate plans. But while YouTube has not yet blown up, I will be happy to take the cash and keep, you know, going down to South Beach or whatever else, right? But a lot of people are like, oh, I just don't understand why people would care. It's like, who cares? These folks watch me for 17 minutes at a clip. I have no idea why that is, but hey, if they want to do it and I get paid, I'm happy. Like Fail Normal is now up to like $11 a month. Woohoo! And buy a couple of cups of coffee off that. So it is funny, like, since I have 3 channels, like I can see the amounts of money I make. So like Fail Normal is like 11 bucks a month, and then Eli Computer Guy Live is like $1,000 a month, and then Eli the Computer Guy is way up there. But it is funny, like, to see the different channels and to see the different amounts of money. And it's kind of funny. It's one of the things that's fun with doing like new projects, is because like with Eli the Computer Guy, you know, it kind of went up and it kind of plateaued a long time ago. And so really to make much more money off of it, I would really have to change how I do things. And I just don't want to do that. So it's nice and plateaued. So what's kind of fun is like creating these new channels and then like trying to grow them. So like you get that little burst. It's really stupid. Because again, that's one thing like a lot of people don't understand with business. Is business really isn't about the aggregate money. It's not about $1,000 or $1 million. It's about all these little things. Like I was so excited this morning. Like when I saw that Fail Normal is up to like $11 a month, I was like, yes! I was like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like $11. Well, that's gonna pay for my next the next time I go to the movies, right? Like it's an completely insignificant amount of money, and yet just seeing that it blipped up to $11 per month, I was like, yeah, right. And again, I think that's one thing people don't really understand with business people, is that a lot of times, again, like I say, it's not the overall money. I mean, again, you need the money to buy the house and pay the car, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is why you do it, is just for those little things. Like, I wonder if I can get Fail Normal up to $100 a month. Again, $100 a month is still rather insignificant. But you're like, I wonder if I could do it. And so you go and you try to figure out if you can do it. And you go from there. Oh, there we go. Weird little life lessons from Eli, the Computer Guy. This is nice. This is nice. Got a little sweat built up. This has definitely been a tiring day as far as exercise is concerned. Like I said, the weightlifting this morning, and then the Yeah, that dump run. Oh, that was a killer. Because, you know, it's one of those things where you're already feeling a little tired from the muscles. But you're like, you know what? I just load up my pickup truck full of wood and dump it. That's not too bad. And that really wouldn't have been too bad. It's when you go to fill it up, and then you have to realize you have to break apart all, like I say, 50 or 60 pieces of wood. And you're just swinging that little sledgehammer like, ow! Oh, this hurts. Oh, this hurts. But oh well, now I feel good. Now that dump run has been done. I've done my little exercise in my vlog. So tomorrow I figure I'll do another dump run. It's amazing how much trash you can build up in a house. It's just ridiculous, right? So I've got another dump run to do tomorrow, and then keep fixing up the house. Our house has so much work that needs to be done. And so I guess we're sticking around for a while. So every day I'm kind of truck along and do a little more work to get things. And that's the thing too, like I say, is the house needs like a lot of work. The house needs like a lot of work. But as I say, you know, you do an hour or two of work a day, and at the end of the month, that's 30 or 60 hours, right? You know, at the end of the month, that's like somewhere between 1 to 1.5 weeks of full-time work. You know, at the end of 6 months, you can damn near rebuild an entire house. And again, that's one of those things just to be thinking about, like, is, you know, can you do little things every day just to make things better? So like really, so, you know, before I pulled out all that stuff out of the basement, and then today I do one dump run, and then tomorrow I do another dump run. Then the next day I put a couple more bags of mortar on the walls, and the day after that I do another thing, another thing, another thing. And you really don't think about it. You really don't think about how powerful an hour a day of something is. But you just go out there and you do your 1 hour a day. And again, in 2 or 3 months can zip by in a heartbeat. And yet then you get done and you're like, oh my God, you know? I mean, again, like I say, if you do 2 hours a day of work, like let's say on your house, that's 60 hours per month. In 3 months, that's 180 hours of work. You know, that's over a month of full-time work on your house just by doing a couple hours a day. And again, if your house needs more than 180 hours of full-time work, you might want to buy another house. Just saying. But again, that's how, again, like I say, with the whole exercise thing, everybody wants to go out there and they want to see amazing results in like a week. And again, it's not. It's like you go out an hour a day, and an hour a day over 6 months will actually get you somewhere. I was watching that with like one of these Ironman running people, and the person went from being a fatty to running an Ironman in a year. Not in a day, not in a month, not in a week, but went from being really fat, overweight, and then just started walking, and then started jogging 2 miles, and then started jogging 5 miles, and then kept building, building, and building. You don't really think about it, but a year of constant incremental work is actually amazingly powerful. But again, people don't want to put in that 1 hour a day, because Eli, don't you know, I'm watching Netflix. Like, oh, what's wrong with people? But anyways, that's one thing people say, well, Eli, where will I get enough time? And I think, what was it, on average, like the average American watches like 3.5 hours of TV a day. We're not even talking about like YouTube and video games and everything else, like just television. So again, just take 1 hour that you would spend watching television and do something useful with it. It'll have amazing results. But anyways, those are my thoughts for today. It is kind of weird. It seems like the battery on this this camera is actually lasting longer and longer. I don't know why. Like now I'm done. And so we've done this whole thing, so it should be over an hour. And I actually have 2 bars left on the battery. So before, after I walked around, I'd only had 1 bar left. So now I have 2. Batteries don't get better, do they? I've never heard of batteries like getting better with time. Is that like some new thing? Are batteries like wine? The longer you use our battery, the better it gets. That would be nice. You want $1 billion idea. Find a battery that gets better with time. But I don't know. I'm kind of rambling now. So anyways, with that, oh, you guys wanted to see the car. I don't know who it was. Somebody out there said they wanted to see this weird car. So we got a weird, like, Volkswagen, who the hell knows what, over here. And it's actually on state property. So right now, I'm on my property, and then you can see over there, if we flip this over, you can see how that has that sign and yellow line right there. So that is state property. So if we go over, we can then see that the car is on state property. It's always very important to figure out whose property things like derelict cars are on, because it's actually surprisingly expensive to get rid of a derelict car. I was talking to somebody about that. They worked at like city public works department, and they were talking about like how much it costs. Like when somebody like throws tires into a river or throws a car into the river, and they were talking about how much it costs. And like literally, if you actually look at the cost for like removing tires from a river, it's something like $200 or $250 per tire. And the reason is because you have to send the truck out there, and then like how city workers operate, you have to have at least 2 people to go out. So you have 2 people getting paid their hourly or salary rate in a big old truck that gets like 5 miles a gallon to literally go out, find the tire, get the tire, put it in. And so for like every tire that gets thrown into the water that somebody has to go out and get, it's like literally $250 the government pays to get rid of it. So like getting rid of a car like this, literally, I mean, it sounds stupid, but it's probably like a couple $1,000, really. So thankfully it is not on my property. But yes, if you want to do a little exploring, this is in fact the old derelict car. I have no idea what the story is on it. It has always been here. Well, it's been here for the 5 years that we've been here. And it looks pretty old, looks pretty ravaged. I would probably say it's kind of one of those things that maybe when the original farm was here, maybe they just left it here or something. I don't know. Again, random car. As you can see, it's rusting away. In another 100 years, maybe it'll be completely gone. Who knows? But, yep, random things you see in the woods. Random things you see in the woods. But anyways, with that, I'll call it a night, and see you guys tomorrow.